request to solicit bids for right-of-way mowing for the one strip on each side. And I'd like to request suspend the rules, ask you guys to suspend the rules and vote on it tonight. And the reason is, we're getting urgent. It's getting to the point that we're going to have to start cutting quickly. So we do have a plan to go ahead and start cutting in the 1st of June with county forces. We'll cut some roads with our forces because it's so late in the process for the mowing contractor.
Okay.
So if you get bids and solicit at that point, we can.
Will you start in a specific area and just kind of go around, or?
No, our thoughts was to hit just 4 or 5 of the major roads.
Okay.
The highest traveled roads.
All right.
And then let the contractor catch up everything.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all I've got on new business. For current, I have 2 things. First off, we'd like to propose to hire Kyle Goodson for civil engineer grade L step 5. The effective date of 5/24 this month. And then secondly, under personnel, I'd like to get permission to advertise to fill a vacancy for a permanent part-time operator 1 or 2. As you know, we're still down, even from what we were 2 months ago. After Mr. Johnny Green died, we promoted 1 guy, and then so now we're short the guy that took the position full-time. Over his half part-time job.
All right.
And that's all I've got.
Anybody got any questions?
Where are we on our pay contracts this year? What's updated on?
As of right now, they're in the middle of 77, 41, 77, 18, so that's like the 3rd and 4th roads on the list. Next, they're probably end of the week at the latest. They'll be basically through those 2 as far as the ice coverage. All of them still get surface treatment. That'll probably more likely be into June before they start doing surface treatment on the ones. They get that, and then they'll move to next week, likely move to 7755 Barney Bassett. And again, of course, that one's all asphalt, all hot mix. No surface treatment on top.
Now you ready to see that?
7755.
Yeah.
But that's, and then they gave me a list. Beyond that, I can't recall, just from my memory right this minute. But they are telling me they're going to stay with us for the duration to finish. I kind of don't feel like that's likely, but that's what they're telling me.
Anything else from anybody else? Thank you, Derek. E911.
Everybody.
Well,
Thank you. So, if you didn't know already, I was appointed 911 director on April 12th by the 911 board. So I'm assuming the position from David Morgan. I just wanted to come by tonight and introduce myself. I think I know everybody. Everybody's met me, but make sure that you guys knew who the 911 director was. And if you guys had any questions or anything for me, be here to answer. So I'm looking forward to working with everybody. The only thing I do want to try to pursue the commission soon is I would like to set up an email group for any time we did major addressing changes or any time we assigned new county roads. So you guys got that notification as soon as it happens. So you had that awareness of anything's coming up, because I know you guys get phone calls on that stuff. So,
I would love for us to get an email before it happens so we can talk and get with the engineer and make sure everything's needed and not just, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We do get a lot of that.
I know Commissioner Barry talks to me on that kind of stuff. He's on the board, so I'd like to get that going as soon as possible with you guys, so everybody's just have a general awareness of what's going on with what we're doing in the county. And I won't bother y'all with every address we put in, but anytime we change something or add something, I think you guys need to know that. So appreciate it.
first of all, congratulations and welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I'm gonna skip EMA until the administrative report, because she's been a big report for her. So, attorney report.
Tonight, we'll then go into executive session to discuss a couple of issues that overlap and get over into the name and character exception
Okay.
to go into executive session.
Now,
I've talked at length with McKinsey about it, and it definitely meets that exception criteria.
Okay. And we'll run through the meeting at the regular time, and then at the end of the meeting, we'll excuse everyone and then just stay in here. That pleases everybody. Does any commissioner have anything to report at this time?
I would like to bring up a handout I had in McKinsey, drop off. I'm sorry I didn't get it in earlier, but I wanted, we briefly mentioned this at the last meeting before the state holiday. I'd like to go over this with y'all, and then after tonight, see if we could have it put on as new business and start discussing this at more length. Came up last month, there was a bad shortage in turnout gear with the volunteer fire departments. It has a 10-year shelf life, and we have some departments that don't have any that is current. The town of Goshen was looking at doing something to help their department, and I started getting some calls from some people that asked me to see could we talk about doing something countywide to try to help. And so this handout is two pieces. The first piece is the 16 sets of turnout gear. The bottom piece is a communication avenue that I'm glad Robert's here. I might want to ask him to get into that more with y'all. But on the turnout gear, you know, these departments, areas they work are a lot larger than just the town of Banks or the town of Goshen. And kind of some of the people that came to me asking the commission to look at trying to help with this, they said, you know, hey, if a fee is raised just in the town of Goshen to help with this, the department's responding way outside of the city limits of Goshen. And, you know, this is really more of a county issue as a whole, and not just Banks, not just, you know, really Banks and Goshen are the only two entities that have got a way to help. All these other departments are in unincorporated parts of the county. I went to their last meeting and we talked over that. I asked the association president and vice president to get with Curtis Shaver and look at a realistic need of what would work. And they all agreed that if each, you know, department had 2 valid sets of turnout gear, that would about cover who would actually go in a house fire in a rural part of the county. They didn't, you know, the last, I know you go to those meetings, what do you think the total role in the county is with all the departments?
Actual structural firefighter.
The volunteers, I mean, because I'm giving them some scope, you know, when we could have 60, 70 people total in the county, wouldn't you think?
There are, the last discussion they had on their workman's comp, they had 108 volunteers.
So if there's 108 people on their rolls, they're asking for us to help with 16 sets of turnout gear, and that would be something if we could do, that would have a shelf life of about a decade. The second part of this, and I'd like, and I'm catching Robert off guard, it's something in the next meeting he wants to talk about a little more. McKinsey's been part of some meetings on radios, and that's a really expensive something to provide anybody with. You know, the radios they have, we helped a few years ago. We have the commission, is it 1% administrative fee of the tobacco tax that the commission actually gets, and we've never done anything with it. And several years ago, we helped with some repeaters in the county to try to help them have some better communication. and it's still in parts of the county, especially out in Banks and Seco, it doesn't work. There's a new app, the app they were talking about at the meeting in Goshen, the active 911 alerts. That is something that if they've just got a smartphone, they can be given a login through 911. The call, interrupt me if I misspeak, when the call comes out, it comes up on their app and they can take their phone and select, I'm going, I'm here, I've left the scene. They can get all of the data that they would get through radio transmissions that a lot of them are lacking in radios. The cost of that for the whole county volunteer service is about $2,500 a year, and there was some talk about could we might possibly help out of our 1% each year, subsidize some of that cost instead of working on radios for them. And I told them that's something we just have to look into, kind of what is our revenue each year on that 1%.
Around $1,000 a year.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What would happen, what would we do if towers are down and you can't use your cell phone?
Well, we've had, and this might be more of a 911 question, but in the past year, when that tornado came through Oak Valley in other parts of the north of the county, we didn't have radio capability up there. You remember that? You and David came up that day in a rainstorm, and the sheriff's department didn't have radios because they did not, there were feeder outs in the north end of the county. They were having to use cell phones because they didn't have radios. So I think that's a risk either way, because I witnessed that day, that they couldn't call for help on the radios, and they were having to use their cell phones to communicate that day because the tornado had knocked down one of the repeater towers on the north end of the county. So I would assume if you could lose a radio, about the same as you could lose a cell phone.
Right.
I don't know, that was just something they felt like was a lot, $2,500 a year, they thought was a lot to get all 100 or so of them where they could communicate was a lot more feasible something than trying to get proper radios for all of them. And, they were, and I think they're willing to pony up. They just asked, hey, I know we bought some repeaters out of that. Is that something that we could look at using some of that 1% to at least subsidize, since it'd be a lot cheaper than the radios? And I told them I'd bring that up. But I would encourage each of y'all, that's 2 sets of gear for Seco, 2 sets for Banks, 2 sets for Meadsfield, 2 for Brundage, Spring Hill, Goshen, Henderson, and Hamilton's Crossroads. That touches every district. I would encourage y'all the next few weeks to maybe reach out to some of the people in these departments. What they've been talking about, in other counties, there are some subsidies, whether it's a rooftop tax or some other things other than just the tobacco tax that helps them, and we don't have any of that in the county. The check they get, what they've been saying in these meetings, they have subsidized themselves heavily over the years with grants. In the last year or two, a lot of those funds either have not been available or not been awarded as regularly as they have been in the past. They get around $800 a month. You can give or take, it varies from month to month, but that's a safe. You put 3 tires on a fire truck and your $800 is gone. You buy 1 pump for a fire truck, and that's not putting fuel and gas in it or paying the workman's comp. So, I don't think, it's not like they're coming asking us to buy 100 sets a year. They've been realistic and looked at their roles and feel like each of the departments could field 2 people physically fit and qualified to go on the structure fire. And that's what they've asked us. And I just told them I would present it to y'all, let y'all talk over it, think over it, reach out to some of them, and we get it on the agenda to talk about further over the next few weeks.
It's issue like that, I think we all need to sit down, excuse me, and not actually a meeting like this, whatever the whole county fire department has a meeting, we try to meet and go over all of this, so everybody will hear the same thing.
Would y'all like me to ask them to, when they have their next meeting, to get everybody here?
They'll come in here, yeah.
Okay.
And then if it needs to be an informal meeting, we can do it after the regular meeting and just hear them out.
Well, I'll reach out to them and tell them we'd like, they asked me that they wanted, I wanted to come tonight, and I told them I didn't want them to catch everybody off guard, let them present it and let y'all be thinking about it in the next meeting, they may come.
That'd be great.
Tell them to bring the executive staff and
Okay.
the chiefs when they come from the departments, and we can set that up.
So, looking at this, they get an average to divide up amongst all of them, about 10,000 a month to divide between. So far this year, tobacco tax has collected $76,600 roughly. And 1% is not a lot, but that's cut off the top. And then all the departments get a cut that's not determined by call rate. And then, I don't know, do you remember what the association gets?
The 1%'s not included in those numbers that y'all have.
Oh, okay.
That's pulled out of that already, because we get them in separate payments and checks. The association gets $600 a month off the top unless they accumulate a certain amount of money. And once they do that, they let me know. I cut off their money for the rest of the year until it's time again. They also, out of that money, pay their workers' comp when it comes due and reduce their payment that month. So, and it's just, it is, like you said, probably around $800 or so a month. There's some months that they get $300 and some months that they may get $1,200. It just depends on how the tobacco tax comes in.
Yeah, one other, two things, I guess of note. Alan and McKenzie sent out an email, and our local legislation made it through. Thank y'all for all the work getting that through. I guess we're still waiting on the signature. And then the sheriff came in last meeting we had and talked about the pistol permit money. I thought this was one of the notes that was on here that the House has passed a bill to try to make that fund whole for 5 years. My understanding was the problem with it was the calculation error.
Okay.
And so the House has approved that, but it hasn't passed the Senate yet, so we'll see where that goes. I'll keep you up to date.
You know what year they're gonna be looking at?
Last year was the year that they in the bill they're looking at.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know which one that they've got in this bill to look at now. I'm gonna assume
It's the year before.
the year
not-
before,
Yeah.
but I don't want to say that 100% because after the bill passed, even though it didn't go into effect this year, I think a lot of people
They were going.
assumed.
Right. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. The administrative report. With the EMA.
EMA. Under EMA, the first item is the raise. He had talked to y'all, I believe back when David was there, they talked to y'all about doing a new program for alerts that was supposed to be a better program. We have not been able to get that instituted in place, ready to go yet. So we are asking, and this will take a suspension of the rules, we need to extend RAID for another year so that the county is not without that service that we're used to having. So there is, in your package, there's the fee. It's a little more to do it 1 year instead of the 3 years like we've been doing, but we think that we will be able to get that other program in place before the year's out. So we would only recommend doing 1 year on that. So I will ask for a suspension of rules to move forward on that. Unless y'all have any questions, Robbie may can help answer them if they get real technical on it. The next item, or the next two items are both grants. One's an EMPG grant, one's the 23 EMA grant. One's for up to $29,000 some dollars, and one's for $764. We would like to ask to go ahead. They kind of send you these and they need them back within a small amount of days, and so we just don't have time for it to go onto agenda and then go down to current business. So we'd ask for us, make sure the rules on approving those two grants. They're reimbursement grants, so we would have to spend money to in order to get reimbursed on them. That's all under emergency management report. Under my report, there's an FMLA request for employee of the revenue commissioner's office. There's a letter in your package about that. She's already out on FMLA. We can still let it roll down. Either way, we'll have to honor it because of what it is. So we don't have to suspend the rules if you don't want to on that. We'll just let it roll down and vote on it then. Also, there is a bank account closure request. We have officially moved all the American Rescue funds over as approved through Moore Arrington Law Firm. We've gotten all those funds moved, and so I'm asking to close out that bank account because we no longer need it. There will not be any more funds coming in to go to that account. We can roll that down to current business at this time. There's no questions on that. Under the current business section, the only item for action, there's actually two, number 8 and 9, the RFP for the sheriff's office computers and scanners. There is a letter in there. We actually received 3 bids. 2 of them were quite a bit less expensive, but once we reviewed and looked at the specs to see if they met the specs of the bid, they did not meet the specs for the software that they're needing. They had to have a certain operating system on, and they did, the 2 that were much less did not meet that operating system requirement that was laid out in the bid. So we do recommend that this is awarded to PC Plus for short.
Okay.
Under item number 9, County Board of Equalization appointment. I've spoken with everybody, heard back from everybody. They want to move forward with reappointing the same 3 that have been on there. So I recommend that we go ahead and do that and get that submitted to the state.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We have about 25 minutes, 23 minutes before our regular meeting begins, so right now the work session will be closed.
Some questions from a volunteer fire department.